Stacy Cole and Carol Hughes. We are filling in. I'm not filling in, but Carol is.
I'm filling in
for Tony. Yeah, we're both filling in, really.
I really don't do as good a job, but I try.
You do a great job. We have a different chemistry than Tony. Tony is his own person, and you and I are just we're kind of kindred spirits. I like it.
Yes, we're two sidekicks.
Exactly. Yeah, no kidding. This next story, I sent this to you last night, and it sounds weird to say this, but I'm excited to hear your take on it because of how absurd this story is. And I'll just dive into it and I'll pause so I can get some of your feedback because
insane.
It's insane. This is from Burlington, Vermont. The police department is facing severe criticism for staging a controversial mock shooting demonstration that left students at Burlington High School terrified and scrambling for cover. The event, held on Wednesday as part of the school's year-end studies, which is called the YES program, it was intended to illustrate the unreliability of witness statements, but the lack of advance warning caused panic among students. The demonstration involved 3 police personnel simulating a robbery scenario using fake firearms at the police station. Despite assurances that the scenario was not directed at students or faculty, the absence of prior notification led students to believe that they were in real danger, some diving to the floor and texting loved ones goodbye and I love you.
That breaks my heart. Like these kids, honest to God, are texting their families goodbye. That's how terrified they were.
Yeah. These kids, they're born in what, 2022? I'm not mathing properly.
Okay,
right
so let's
now.
go 24 minus 17. So maybe like 2007-ish. That's when they were born. And these poor kids have grown up in an environment where mass shootings and horrific things is a possibility day to day. Like when I was a kid, we did the tornado drills. We did the fire drills. We didn't do any mass shooting drills.
Yeah.
So that's where they're at now. And to do something like this without warning them, or you could have set it up in a way that the kids could have seen this and then gone, okay, here's the demonstration. It all happens really fast. Now we want your witness statements.
Yeah.
Or not even told them, like, we're going to do a demonstration. So the kids are watching for one thing. And then you tell them it's to get witness statements to see the unreliability of them. I think that could have worked. Could have set up a little red herring. The kids think they're going to watch one thing, but then you do this. You don't surprise them with fake guns, and they were shooting them.
Yeah, there were actual, blanks that were shot. So they were hearing gunfire. I mean, what are these kids supposed to think? They are doing active shooter drills as part of training in school. I mean, there's talk of kids having backpacks that are bulletproof so they can use them as shields. I mean, this is a different time than what you and I grew up in. I remember when I was in kindergarten, we would get under our desk in case there was some nuclear or something like that would have done anything. But I remember doing that. I remember going into the hallway for tornado drills in Minnesota. We never did this. We had, I think somebody shot off fireworks in our lunchroom, my last day of high school. And nobody thought it was gunfire. We all thought, oh, fireworks, because we had never had a gun issue.
Mm-hmm.
And this was back in 1989. Yes, I'm dating myself, but we didn't have school shootings back then. When we heard bang, 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 we thought, oh, some asshole brought fireworks, which is exactly what they did. We never thought about guns. This is an entirely different generation. And to not take this into account that, my God, if we use actual blanks or anything that sounds like a gun, these kids are going to be traumatized if they didn't know this was coming.
And with the police department and the school, they lined this whole thing up. Was there no talk of we're just going to surprise the kids? I mean, there had to have been a discussion in advance. Did everybody sign off and go, this is a great idea? Let's just have you guys surprise him. And, it's fake guns, fake bullets, even though it'll sound real. Like, did anybody go, wait a minute, the kids might actually think this is really happening. Could we do this a different way? I don't understand.
I don't either. So it says about 20 students from a forensics class attended the field trip, which school officials knew would include a crime reenactment. Now, it's kind of what you talked about here. Just do something spontaneous and then have everybody say, okay, so who is the perpetrator? Can you describe them? Well, most people wouldn't be able to do that. And it would prove your point. You don't need the guns. It says, too, that the students were listening to a presentation when suddenly 3 people entered the room screaming. There's like 3 people fighting. A fake gun that we didn't know was fake at the time got pulled out and shot what I think were blanks, said a student. They left shells, and it was like still loud, said one 15-year-old student who wanted to remain anonymous. Me and almost the whole class dove to the floor to hide under tables because we didn't know what was going on. An email from school officials to families confirmed while the gun was fake, the reenactment involved screaming and fake gunshot sounds.
I bet they didn't sound so fake.
No, not inside.
Didn't sound fake to the kids.
No. Well, and, maybe some kids have never been around gunfire. Maybe they really don't know what it sounds like. So something that sounds similar to them might be the real thing.
And if you're if you're sitting in there and this happens and you look around and there's someone with a gun and you're hearing that, it's associated with that gun that guy just fired off. You're not, even if you know what gunshots sound like, you're not going to think, well, that was fake.
Right.
Maybe if you're a police officer and you've had experience with a lot of fake gunfire versus real gunfire, you would know. But I wouldn't know the difference. Somebody comes in with a gun and shoots it, I'm assuming that's a gun.
As you should. You should.
And that's what these kids are trained to, they're trained to be on alert for this.
Yep.
And then it just happens right in front of them. Ugh.
The whole thing is just, again, like you said, there should have been somebody part of this whole thing that stopped and went, wait, hold on. We got to make sure these kids know something's coming. Yeah. They're still going to miss details and they're going to be able to prove their point about the unreliability of witness statements. They're still, even if they know it's coming, they're not going to get all the details. They're not going to be able to describe the perp.
And that's why you set up the red herring story. You tell them you're looking for one thing, and then when it's done, then you go, but what we really want to know is who is that person. We didn't have you pay attention to that person who came in, but who was that person?
Exactly. And that's the person
you
wanted.
There's a million ways you could have done that.
Yep, absolutely. The email from school officials to families confirmed while the gun was fake, the reenactment, I'm sorry, I already read that. The police statement stated that they had communicated with school staff about the demonstration's details, including the use of fake firearms, but it remains unclear whether the lack of warning was part of those details. A quote from the police statement says, "It is about as real life as you can get, and it is certainly exactly the sort of thing we deal with most frequently." Following the incident, the school officials sent an email to parents acknowledging the simulation was startling for many students and may have left some feeling confused and frightened. I'm sorry, I would sue them. You're going to cover my therapy for the rest of the fucking year.
My God. I just don't get it. I don't get it. Did not anybody say, do you think this might scare the shit out of the kids? Did anybody say that?
And these are people who are protecting the community. And I don't mean to go after the police officers, but somebody should have said, we deal with this stuff every day. They don't. We need to tone it down a bit, or at least give them full advance notice. And maybe somebody would have said, I don't want to be part of this. Maybe somebody in that room, God help them, has been through a live shooting. And maybe this would be triggering and they go, you know what, you guys do this. I'm going to go hang in the cafeteria for a little bit. I'm going to go sit outside. I don't want to be part of it. They should have been given the opportunity to know what was coming and opt in or out based on how they felt. But they were not given this opportunity. and they were traumatized.
And don't you think they could have, we want to show how unreliable witness statements can be. There's a million ways you could have done that did not involve scaring the kids, yelling, screaming, firing a fake gun. You could have done it with just like a random little skit that you wrote.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be anything scary, because all you're trying to do is the unreliability of witness statements. So you could have done that in so many different ways, and then said, who is that one person who walked in towards the end? And they're like, oh, wait, we were watching the other guy.
Yeah.
We didn't know you wanted us to watch that person. Oh, what was that person wearing?
Exactly. And did they have a bag? Did they have a bag with, it's all these intricate details that you're not going to pick up on. And that's the exact point. You didn't need to have the freaking gun. I can deal with the screaming and the pretend fighting. I can deal with that. The gun is where they crossed a line.
Yeah.
Do
you think there will be a lawsuit or something against him? Or do you think they just get a little slap on the wrist and like, don't do that again next year for the YES program?
I would hope they aren't going to do it again, but I also feel here's the interesting part. School officials hosted a, quote, restorative circle for students and teachers to discuss the incident. So there's your therapy right there. No.
What the hell is a restorative circle? And how is that going to help these kids?
Thank you. Thank you. I have no idea. Yes, it does help to talk about things, but I think if none of these kids had ever been through a shooting of any sort, now they feel like they have been, even though it wasn't real. When I was training to be an EMT, I was at a healthcare center. We went into lockdown. The gates were coming down. There was an active shooter on scene, and I had never been part of an active shooter drill, so I didn't know what to do. And I saw this gate coming down, and I had my keys with me. And just like I saw in the movies, I hit the ground and I rolled under the gate, just like Bruce Willis would have done. And I got out of the building, and I zigzagged to my car and got the hell out of there. Cause I'm like, I'm not going to stay where an active shooter is. I'm just not. I'm getting out of here. I am leaving. Well, it turned out after 7 hours of lockdown, they realized that whoever thought they saw a gun, it wasn't a gun. Oh. But for 7 hours, my classmates were stuck in a room with a desk up against the door, thinking there was an active shooter.
Oh my God.
All traumatized. And then I had survivor's guilt of sorts, because I'm like, well, I got out because I was protecting myself. And I'm at home texting with them, and they're like, yeah, we're still holed up. We don't know where the shooter is. And it's like, oh my God. Oh my God. I'm supposed to be in that room, and I wasn't in that room with them. What happens if they all get shot and I should have been in there? Everything, it's just amazing what your mind goes through in a scenario like that. And then to find out that it really didn't happen, but you still feel traumatized by it. That's what these kids are feeling.
Yep, absolutely.
It wasn't real, but they went through, their adrenaline got going. They said goodbye to their family members. They were traumatized by this. It's horrible.
As were their parents. Their parents got texts that were like, I love you, goodbye.
Yeah. Their worst fears were coming true.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah. Happy end of the school year.
You're consuming the Hidden Killers podcast.
Want more? Start binging on all of our true crime podcasts right now through Apple Podcasts, and get an ad-free experience when you sign up to be a True Crime Today Premium Plus member, exclusively on Apple Podcasts.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast, dropping soon.
Press subscribe now.